The history of the concept of the wish is so ancient it's ridiculous, and one of the best indicators of its origins is found in historic relics from water sources, springs, wells, and such. The basic idea is, where the world gives the humans a gift they attribute to something beyond their understanding, they naturally consider it a sacred place or moment in which to ask the universe for a favor, a boon. They make a wish that whatever power is behind the scenes will work its magic and make some other part of their reality go well, according to their heart's desire. In the case of water sources, humans naturally felt it fitting to exchange a little sacrifice, a gift. These days, we toss a coin into wishing wells, and ancient relics found in water sources are really amazing snapshots of history, such as this collection of pins for hair and clothing tossed into the water and preserved for centuries. In the case of shooting stars, we have the tradition of making a wish and not telling anyone what the wish is, otherwise it won't come true, because telling it takes it out of the spiritual, the unknown, and brings it into the world, away from whatever power the wish is made to. It doesn't matter what the person believes the power is. This is something all humans seem to do as a species. It reminds me of the aphorism, "There are no atheists in foxholes," meaning that times of extreme stress or fear can prompt an appeal to a higher power, even if the person is not usually prone to prayer. People who are not otherwise religious or spiritual will still toss a coin into a wishing well or fountain for good luck, even if they don't make a specific wish. Beyond water, other elements of the natural world were imbued with wish-granting potential. The Etruscans, an ancient Italian civilization flourishing around 600 BC, are credited with originating the tradition of wishbones, believing chickens possessed prophetic abilities. They would use the dried clavicle bone of a cooked fowl for divination. This practice evolved into the custom of two people pulling the bones apart with their pinky fingers, with the larger piece determining whose wish would be granted. The Romans later adopted this tradition, disseminating it across Europe, where it continues to be a widespread practice, and I can attest that this is also a tradition brought all the way to New Zealand and Australia. There is a reason why beings tied directly to the elements are the focus of so much lore of the wish in fantasy. The Islamic tradition introduced jinn or genies, powerful spirits capable of fulfilling desires, often with cautionary conditions, as famously depicted in 1001 Nights, especially Aladdin's story. This is where Dungeons & Dragons derives the inspiration for the genies, beings deeply associated with the elemental planes. It may be the origin of there being 3 wishes. It's probably the origin of the limitation that one can't wish for more wishes. Many cultures revere specific trees as conduits for wishes or divine blessings, notably in Hinduism and Indian religions. And in Japanese culture, the custom of writing wishes on small wooden plaques and hanging them at Shinto shrines or on colourful strips of paper during the Tanabata festival preserves this connection between sacred trees and the act of wishing. The wish spell in fantasy role-playing games has consistently been presented as the pinnacle of arcane power, capable of bending reality to the caster's will. However, its mechanics, limitations, and the degree of Dungeon Master control have evolved significantly, not steadily over the many editions of Dungeons & Dragons, but quite recently. However, during my investigations into how different fantasy RPGs handle the wish spell, I discovered something which might shock you a little, and here is where I smack AD&D right across the face with a big beck-me stick. The most comprehensive treatment of the specifics of the wish spell is not found in any edition of Advanced Dungeons & Dragons. It's from Basic Dungeons & Dragons. Also, the latest version of the wish spell in Advanced Dungeons & Dragons 2024 edition has a pretty serious flaw. Settle back, my friend, grab yourself a tasty beverage. It's time to get deeply nerdy. Right, let's get into it. Wish has been part of Dungeons & Dragons from very early on, first mentioned as a castable spell in Supplement 1 Greyhawk, published in March 1975. The 9th level spell described that it has the same effect as the Ring of Three Wishes, but the act of conjuration was so taxing on the spellcaster that they were left unable to do anything magically for 2 to 8 days, and considering how feeble mages were in all other respects, this was quite enough to render a character useless for that amount of time. The spell was also left entirely up to the Dungeon Master's discretion. Still, some guidelines are provided. such as how to deal with someone who wants more wishes. The DM should put the character in an endless time loop, moving back to the time they first obtained the Ring of Wishes. I suppose for casting a wish spell it would be a pretty tight time loop indeed, and a horrific thing for those nearby to witness happening. Though it does raise many questions, such as, can the effect be broken by someone casting a wish to stop the time loop? And is that actually a sort of loophole way of preserving a spellcaster's life for an indefinite period of time? However, they would surely be driven totally insane from the ordeal. Other advice is to grant requests for powerful magic items, but in a way that doesn't benefit the caster at all, like summoning a mirror of life trapping, but when it appears, the caster is trapped within it. The ability to alter events from the past seemed to be fine, such as wishing an unfortunate adventure never happened, and casters who merely wish for clues to obtaining powerful items and treasure should be given the clues without undue harm coming to them. All the advice is oriented towards preventing a wish casting from seriously disrupting a campaign, though deleting an unfortunate adventure could have a devastating impact on other player characters who might have benefited from that same adventure. Again, very much up to the DM's discretion. In the first edition Advanced Dungeons & Dragons, specific reasonable uses such as resurrecting the dead, healing, or escaping immediate danger like teleporting a party could be achieved without penalty. However, using it for broader, more ambitious effects would inflict a -3 penalty to strength lasting up to 8 days. DMs were advised to twist greedy wishes, with the example that such a thing as wishing a villain dead could transport the caster to a future where the villain was already gone, effectively removing them from the current campaign. This only added to the reputation and mystique of the fabled wish spell among players of the game, where its use could have amazing rewards or ruthless consequences. But that was exactly what the mythos of the wish from folklore and stories was all about, and the game just encapsulated that perfectly. When the second edition arrived in 1989, a few safe uses of the wish spell were defined, such as undoing damage, raising the dead back to life, or escaping immediate predicaments. We also got a lesser version of the spell called Limited Wish. Here's what the original spell description says as it appears in the player's handbook. A limited wish is a very potent but difficult spell. It will fulfill literally, but only partially, or for a limited duration, the utterance of the spellcaster. Thus, the actuality of the past, present, or future might be altered in some limited manner, but possibly only for the magic user unless the wording of the limited wish is most carefully stated. The use of a limited wish will not substantially change major realities, nor will it bring wealth or experience merely by asking. The spell can, for example, restore some hit points, or all of the hit points for a limited duration, lost by a magic user. It can reduce opponent hit probabilities or damage. It can increase duration of some magical effect. It can cause a creature to be favorably disposed to the spellcaster, and so on. The limited wish can possibly give a minor clue to some treasure or magic item. Greedy desires will usually end in disaster for the wisher. Bearing all that in mind, here is the description of the full wish spell. The wish spell is a more potent version of the limited wish, if it is used to alter reality with respect to hit points sustained by a party, to bring a dead character to life, or to escape from a difficult situation by lifting the spellcaster and his or her party from one place to another. It will not cause the magic user any disability. Other forms of wishes, however, will cause the spellcaster to be weak, with a -3 on strength, and require 2 to 8 days of bed rest due to the stresses the wish places upon time, space, and his or her body. Regardless of what is wished for, the exact terminology of the wish is likely to be carried through. This discretionary power of the referee is necessary in order to maintain game balance, as wishing another character dead would be grossly unfair, for example. Your DM might well advance the spellcaster to future period where the object is no longer alive, i.e. putting the wishing character out of the campaign. Meanwhile, while Advanced Dungeons & Dragons was still a bit vague on the specifics of the wish spell, good old basic Dungeons & Dragons, first appearing in 1977 and remaining in print through various revisions for an unbeaten 22 years, has the most comprehensively defined version of the wish spell. Here it is, as written in the Rules Cyclopedia. A wish is the single most powerful spell a magic user can have. It is never found on a scroll, but may be placed elsewhere, in a ring, for example, in rare cases. Only magic users of 36th level and with an 18 or greater wisdom score may cast the wish spell. Wording the wish, a player must say or write the exact wish his character makes. The wording is very important. The wish will usually follow the literal wording and whatever the intentions of the magic user. The DM should try to maintain game balance, being neither too generous nor too stingy in deciding the effects of the wish. Even a badly phrased wish made with good intentions may have good results. However, if the wish is greedy or made with malicious intent, the DM should make every effort to distort the results of the spell so the caster does not profit from it. If necessary, the DM can even disallow the wish, which would then have no effect. Whenever a wish fails or is misinterpreted, the DM should explain after the game the problem or flaw in the phrasing. Here are some examples of faulty wishes. I wish that I knew everything about this dungeon. Could result in a character knowing all for only a second and then forgetting it. I wish for 1,000,000 gold pieces. Can be granted by having them land on the character. That's 100,000 pounds of gold, and then vanish. I wish to immediately and permanently possess the gaze power of a basilisk while retaining all of my own abilities and items. Is a carefully worded wish that's out of balance. Characters able to use high-level spells are already quite powerful. This wish could result in the character growing a basilisk head in addition to the character's own head. A wish cannot be used to gain either experience points or levels of experience. Possible effects. A properly worded wish can substitute for any other magical spell of 8th level or less, or any clerical or druidic spell of 6th level or less, at the DM's discretion. This common use of a wish is more likely to succeed with less chance for error than other uses of the spell. Otherwise, if the wish is used to harm another creature, the victim may make a saving throw versus spells. If the save is successful, the victim takes half the ill effects and the other half rebounds on the caster, who may also save to avoid it but with a -4 penalty to the roll. If the wish will inconvenience someone without harming him, for example by causing him to be teleported into a prison cell, the victim gets no saving throw. A character can use a wish to gain treasure up to a maximum of 50,000 gold pieces per wish. However, the caster loses 1 experience point per gold piece value of treasure gained, and this loss cannot be magically restored. The magic user can use a wish to temporarily change from 1 ability score to a minimum of 3 or maximum of 18. This effect lasts for only 6 turns. Wishes can also be used to permanently increase ability scores, but the cost is very high. You must cast as many wishes as the number of the ability score desired. All of the wishes must be cast within a 1-week period. You may raise an ability score only 1 point at a time. So to raise your strength from 15 to 16 takes 16 wishes, and then raise it to 17 will take an additional 17 wishes. Wishes cannot permanently lower ability scores. A wish cannot raise the maximum experience level for human characters. 36th level is the absolute limit. However, one wish can allow demi-humans to gain 1 additional hit die for a new maximum of 9 for halflings, 11 for elves, and 13 for dwarves. This affects only hit points and does not change any other scores such as attack rolls, the elves' number of spells, etc. A wish can change a demi-human to a human or the reverse. Such a change is permanent and the recipient does not become magical. Halflings and dwarves become fighters of the same level, elves become magic users or fighters but not both, at the choice of the caster of the wish. The changed character would gain levels of experience normally. A human changes to the same level demi-human, but no higher than the normal racial maximum. If one character casts a wish to change another character's class, the victim, at his option, may make a saving throw versus spells with a +5 bonus to resist the change. A wish can sometimes change the results of a past occurrence. This is normally limited to events of the previous day. A lost battle may be won, or the losses may be made far less severe, but impossible odds cannot be overcome completely. A death could be changed to a near-death survival. A permanent loss could be made temporary. The DM may wish to advise players when their wishes exceed the limit of the spell's power or his patience. Important note: whenever an effect is described as being unchangeable even with a wish, that statement supersedes all others here. Wishes can cause great problems if not handled properly. The DM must see that wishes are reasonably limited, or the balance and enjoyment of the game will be completely upset. The DM should not allow wishes that alter the basics of the game, such as wishes that dragons can't breathe for damage. The more reasonable and greedy the wish is, the less likely the wish will become reality. I'll now skip right over the other editions of Advanced Dungeons & Dragons, as they're mostly just less precise versions of what you've just heard, and instead focus on what most recent edition and the way the wish spell is described in D&D 2024, and a rather large problem with how it is written. Oh, I should add one note beforehand. In a significant departure, 4th edition largely removed wish as a player-accessible spell. It was recontextualized primarily as a narrative plot device for DMs, appearing perhaps as a single-use artifact or an epic tier scroll. This change aimed to prevent players from derailing campaigns with an all-powerful spell and firmly placed its reality-altering potential under the DM's control for story purposes. Okay, here is the D&D 2024 edition wish spell, exactly as it appears on D&D Beyond at the time of this video. Wish is the mightiest spell a mortal can cast. By simply speaking aloud, you can alter reality itself. The basic use of this spell is to duplicate any other spell of level 8 or lower. If you use it in this way, you don't need to meet any requirements to cast that spell, including costly components. The spell simply takes effect. Alternatively, you can create one of the following effects of your choice. Object creation. You can create one object of up to 25,000 gold piece in value that isn't a magic item. The object can be no more than 300 feet in any dimension, and it appears in an unoccupied space that you can see on the ground. Instant health. You allow yourself and up to 20 creatures that you can see to regain all hit points, and you end all effects on them listed in the Greater Restoration spell. Resistance. You can grant up to 10 creatures that you can see resistance to one damage type that you choose. This resistance is permanent. Spell immunity. You can grant up to 10 creatures you can see immunity to a single spell or other magical effect for 8 hours. Sudden learning. You replace one of your feats with another feat for which you are eligible. You lose all the benefits of the old feat and gain the benefits of the new one. You can't replace a feat that is a prerequisite for any of your other feats or features. Roll redo. You undo a single recent event by forcing a reroll of any die roll made within the last round, including your last turn. Reality reshapes itself to accommodate the new result. For example, a wish spell can undo an ally's failed saving throw or a foe's critical hit. You can force the reroll to be made with advantage or disadvantage, and you can choose whether to use the reroll or the original roll. Reshape reality. You may wish for something not included in any of the other effects. To do so, state your wish to the DM as precisely as possible. DM has great latitude in ruling what occurs in such an instance. The greater the wish, the greater the likelihood that something goes wrong. This spell may simply fail. The effect you desire might be achieved only in part, or you might suffer an unforeseen consequence as a result of how you worded the wish. For example, wishing that a villain were dead might propel you forward in time to a period where that villain is no longer alive, effectively removing you from the game. Similarly, wishing for a legendary magic item or an artifact might instantly transport you to the presence of the item's current owner. If your wish is granted and effects has consequences for a whole community, region, or world, you're likely to attract powerful foes. If your wish would affect a god, the god's divine servants might instantly intervene to prevent it, or to encourage you to craft the wish in a particular way. If your wish would undo the multiverse itself, threaten the city of Sigil, or affect the Lady of Pain in any way, you see an image of her in your mind for a moment, she shakes her head, and your wish fails. The stress of casting a wish to produce any other effect other than duplicating another spell weakens you. After enduring that stress, each time you cast a spell until you finish a long rest, you take 1d10 necrotic damage per level of that spell. This damage can't be reduced or prevented in any way. In addition, your strength score becomes 3 for 2d4 days. For each of those days that you spend resting and doing nothing more than light activity, your remaining recovery time decreases by 2 days. Finally, there is a 33% chance that you are unable to cast the wish ever again if you suffer this stress. Do you see the big narrative disaster lurking between the lines of sudden learning? Let me break it down for you. Because it is not stated exactly how the previous feat is removed from existence, it can be extremely disruptive to an adventure campaign. Is the caster of the wish spell the only one who is changed by it, or does it alter the timeline and change everyone involved in that feat? Either of which creates quite a narrative issue. With the hindsight of all the previous versions of the wish spell, we can infer this is in effect most likely restricted to the caster of the wish spell, but unless you have read all of those editions, how would you know? Does the caster forget everything to do with that feat? Because they are much more comprehensive in 5th edition and 2024 editions. They represent intensive training, most likely over years of their life, or a significant part of their background, their culture, and all the other people and events in their life associated with that training. Not only that, but they would have a routine keeping their skills sharp. Now they have a whole other feat. It has no background, no memories associated with it, no helpful resources from non-player characters in the world who were part of it, no daily routine, perhaps losing some important physical bonuses. It's a can of worms that clearly needs an update with some better clarity as to how it impacts the actual game setting and not just the player's character sheet. And there you have it, my friends, the wish spell through all of the editions of Dungeons & Dragons. Other fantasy role-playing games handle the wish spell in much the same way. Pathfinder is very succinct in how it describes the spell. It duplicates arcane spells of 9th level or lower and non-arcane spells of 7th level or lower. It can reverse anything that mentions the wish spell elsewhere in the game if applicable, and caution is advised around wishing for anything greater than what its spell duplication effect can produce. Shadowdark RPG also includes the wish spell with an even briefer description, while Dungeon Crawl Classics avoids including the wish spell at all, as far as I can see in the core book. If you know of other games where the wish is handled in a different way, I'd be interested in reading your comments down below. Thanks for listening, everyone. I wish you all a fantastic festive time, and as always, I will be back with more for you very soon.